Hello, and welcome to the Logistical Basics for Procurement Managers template. Let me start this with an introduction. My name is Filipe Brito and I'm your guide for today's template. The team at Procurement Tactics has over 20 years of procurement and negotiation experience. We would like to share this knowledge and experience with you, which is why we have created this Logistical Basics for Procurement Managers template. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. If we want to talk about logistical basics for procurement managers, then we should discuss basic logistical concepts that you need to know. What exactly are these concepts that we are speaking of? Well, here are some important ones you should keep in mind. Facilities refer to the physical locations where products are either produced or stored or both. The performance of your supply chain can be greatly impacted by the location, capacity, and capabilities of these facilities. For example, having multiple facilities could mean that your responsiveness to customers is enhanced, but centralizing operations may be better when it comes to the efficiency of production. Next is warehouse management, which encompasses the storing and handling of inventory. This doesn't just mean throwing something in one place and calling it a day. Storage should be done efficiently so that items can be retrieved quickly as well. Storage may be something simple sounding, but it requires strategic thinking and effective warehouse management. Effective warehouse management can minimize costs, and on top of that, utilization of space is crucial in overall supply chain efficiency. When talking of logistics, transportation is never far behind in the conversation. Simply speaking, transportation is the movement of goods from suppliers to warehouses and from warehouses to your waiting customers. It's an important logistical driver because transportation decisions impact delivery times and costs. Depending on your needs, using boats instead of trucks or vice versa may be cheaper, for example. However, this may also mean you get a slower delivery time. Speaking of time, lead times are the time taken from placing the order to receiving the goods. Your lead time can tell you whether you require better inventory management, and it can strengthen or weaken your customer relationship. It can even prevent stockouts on top of that, so it's an important thing to keep track of. I'm sure you have heard the saying, knowledge is power, which applies to many things in life, including logistics. It's crucial to keep updated data on things like inventory levels, order status, and supplier performance. Having accurate data is non-negotiable for effective logistics management. Now that we know of the basic logistical concepts in procurement, let's talk about Incoterms. Certain fields have certain jargon that's unique to them. This is of course also true in business. If you haven't heard of Incoterms, these are international commercial terms used in both international and domestic trade contracts that buyers and sellers use for specific rules and terms within business. Understanding and correctly applying Incoterms is needed for procurement logistics as they clarify the responsibilities of all parties involved. Having clarity ensures that disputes and misunderstandings are less likely to occur and operations run as smoothly as possible on all ends. Here are some Incoterms that you may want to know when it comes to logistics in procurement. FCA stands for Free Carrier. This means that the seller is responsible for delivering the goods to a carrier or another party at a specific location. The risk transfers to the buyer once the goods are handed over to the carrier. This term is often used for any mode of transport and allows flexibility in choosing the carrier. DDP, or Delivered Duty Paid, is a term used when the maximum responsibility is on the seller because they are in charge of delivering the goods to the buyer's location. They are also covering all costs including duties and taxes. The seller assumes all risks until the goods are delivered. This makes it advantageous for buyers since it simplifies the import process, but it also requires sellers to be aware of all regulations and costs involved in the destination country. FOB is a term that stands for Free on Board. This means that the seller is responsible for delivering the goods to a port and loading them onto the vessel, whatever that vessel may be. The risk is transferred to the buyer once the goods are on board of the vessel. This term is usually used in maritime transport, and it's important in determining who bears the costs and risks during transit. The term CIF, Cost, Insurance and Freight, puts the seller in charge of paying for the costs, insurance and freight necessary to bring the goods to the destination. The risk shifts to the buyer once the goods are on the transport. This term assures buyers that the goods are insured during transit. EXW means Ex Works, which does not mean you should run back to your ex. It means that the seller makes the goods available at their premises, and from that point forward, the buyer then assumes all responsibilities and risks. Ex works places minimal obligation on the seller and is usually used when it's guaranteed that the buyer has the capability to manage the transportation. Now that we know about some basic logistics concepts and Incoterms, let's talk about how to approach your suppliers when it comes to logistical topics. Open communication and collaboration come hand in hand. They may be two different things, but they are both significant in coming together for a streamlined procurement operation. Clear lines of communication must be established between both parties to discuss logistical expectations and needs. This also means collaborating when it comes to potential challenges and optimizing the logistics process. Working together to discuss potential issues can lead to the discovery and early remedy of possible problems. And collaborating on logistics means being able to improve things like lead times and transportation methods. This also means scheduling quarterly reviews with sales representatives and logistics managers from both parties to align set targets, access performance, and address any issues that are concerned. Collaborative meetings such as these also provide an opportunity to zero in on specific performance metrics while also being able to look at the bigger picture and evaluate overall logistics processes. It's a good exercise to engage in regular discussions and foster an approach to problem solving that is proactive and collaborative. This ensures that both parties remain aligned in their targets and can address any challenges that come to their way quickly and effectively. This commitment to open communication and collaboration not only strengthens a partnership between two parties, but also enhances operational efficiency. Sometimes standards aren't met when it comes to your logistics agreements and standards in the supply chain. What should be done when this happens? Well, it's crucial to engage in direct negotiations and address these issues with your supplier. Make sure you have identified where their performance has fallen short and explain how these have impacted your operations. Direct confrontation sets the stage for constructive criticism that focuses on finding solutions. Request a detailed action plan from your supplier that outlines the steps in rectifying the issues you have identified. Make sure that you have given them clear expectations for improvement that also align with your logistics requirements. You can implement penalties in case of future failures in compliance so that accountability is taken seriously and reinforced. You should also encourage your suppliers to be transparent with you about their challenges in meeting your standards so that you can collaborate in facing these challenges together. Finally, make sure that your suppliers take consistent, schedule regular follow-ups, and monitor their action plan progress. This will strengthen supplier relations while maintaining supplier quality service. Giving your supplier performance feedback when it comes to logistics is important in ensuring that your suppliers do what is asked of them and that you get quality service. You can use a supplier performance scorecard, which is a tool for organizations to evaluate and monitor the performance of their suppliers based on specific metrics, in this case, logistical metrics. The scoreboard helps identify areas for improvement, fosters accountability, and strengthens supplier relationships. Aside from regular evaluations and scorecards, using your open lines of communication and collaboration to have your suppliers share their thoughts on improving efficiency is also a great benefit for both parties. Now that we have tackled how you should approach your suppliers when it comes to logistical topics, let's talk about some other important things about logistics that you'd want to keep track of as well. When keeping track of your logistics, it's also unavoidable to keep track of your suppliers and cost management. Awareness of such knowledge while managing your procurement logistics will serve you well in the long run. Opportunities like bulk purchasing and long-term contracts can help reduce overall expenses, which makes it a great advantage to the organization. Risk assessments are a common thing in a procurement manager's life. It ensures that the identification of potential disruptions in the supply chain, which is essential in the management of logistics. As a procurement manager, it falls on you to develop contingency plans and diversify supplier bases to mitigate these risks. This also means that the entire procurement process is overseen and all procedures are followed efficiently. Always having a backup plan and always being on top of everything is a crucial task, especially when it comes to logistics. Data analysis is always important for making well-informed decisions, which is why it's also crucial to do it in logistics. Reliable data is needed in managing transportation, warehousing, and packaging. Being able to keep track of this data ensures that your procurement process runs smoothly and efficiently, so don't skip out on it. And this is all for everything you need to know about logistical basics. Remember to keep your ship running tight by keeping all of these in mind and expanding your knowledge as much as possible whenever possible. And that's it for the Logistical Basics for Procurement Managers template. If you want to keep your procurement knowledge up to date, then check out our procurement courses and procurement templates. Procurement is a dynamic industry that changes often, so ensuring your knowledge is up to date is a must. This has been Filipe Brito, and we hope to see you again in our next lesson.